All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're not just going to talk about code. Nope, we are going to build a bridge to your first developer job. And the blueprint for that bridge is called Django. If you're serious about making a strategic move into the tech world, you're in the right place. So let's do this. I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? I totally get it. When I was starting out, it felt like I was drowning in a sea of acronyms and all these so-called hot new frameworks. It's paralyzing. But what if there was a clear, proven path that companies are actually hiring for, like right now? Well, spoiler, there is.
And that key? It's Python. Everyone loves it because it's so readable and powerful. But look, just knowing Python isn't enough to get a job. You have to aim that key at the right door. And that door is web development. Seriously, the demand for people who can build the backbone of the internet is absolutely through the roof, and that's where you're going to fit in.
Okay, so before we jump into our main tool, Django, let's just zoom out for a second and get the lay of the land. When we talk about Python on the web, what we're really talking about is the backend. Think of it like the engine room of a giant ship. You never see it, but it's the powerful, hidden machinery that makes the whole thing actually go. Here's the best way to think about it. Ordering at a restaurant. Your browser is you, telling the waiter what you want. That's the request. The server is the kitchen. And Django is the master chef in that kitchen. The chef takes your order, figures out the recipe, grabs the ingredients from the pantry, that's the database, and cooks up your meal. The response? That's the waiter bringing that perfectly made dish right back to your table, or, in this case, your screen. Simple when you think about it that way, right? So if Python is the language our chef speaks, then Django is their entire professional kitchen. It's the set of super sharp knives, the pre-made sauces, the time-tested recipes. It's the whole framework that lets you build amazing, secure, and professional websites right out of the box. And yeah, that's the textbook definition, but let's translate that into what it means for the job market. In business, quickly means saving a ton of money. Secure means protecting your customers and not ending up on the news. And scalable means your app won't crash the second it gets popular. Django is built for all three, which is basically music to an employer's ears. Now look at this list. Every single one of these points is a direct reason a company will want to hire you. Take that powerful ORM. Think of it like a perfect UN translator who speaks both Python and the super complex language of databases. You just write simple Python and it handles all the complicated database stuff for you. It's cleaner, it's safer, and it's way easier. Companies don't just like these features, their entire business often depends on them. You know, to really get good with any tool, you have to understand how it thinks. Django has a really smart way of organizing your code that keeps everything neat and predictable. And it's called the MTV pattern. That's model, template, and view. Now, if you've been around programming a bit, you've probably heard of MVC, or Model View Controller. Well, Django's MTV is pretty much the same idea, just with slightly different names, which can be a little confusing. The M for model is identical. It handles your data. The T for template is what the user actually sees. And the V for view, well, that's the brains of the operation, what other frameworks call the controller. Let's break each one down real quick. First up is the model, and this is where the magic starts. This is where you describe what your data looks like. You just write a simple Python class, say a post that has a title and some content. And that's it. Django looks at that code and bam, it automatically creates the right table in your database for you. You never have to write a single line of database code yourself. It's awesome. Next, you've got the view. This is the project manager, the traffic cop. When a request comes in from a user's browser, the view is what catches it. It figures out what the user wants, talks to the right models to get the necessary data, and then it gets it all packaged up and ready to go. And finally, that brings us to the template. This is the part the user actually sees. It's basically just an HTML file, but it's got these special placeholders in it, kind of like a Mad Libs sheet. The view takes all the data it gathered and passes it to the template, which then fills in all the blanks. That's how a website shows your specific user profile instead of somebody else's. Okay, we've gone over the theory. Now let's talk about the stuff that actually gets you interviews. Understanding these features is what separates someone just messing around with code from a professional developer that a company wants to hire. This is the good stuff. And this right here says it all. This is the power of that ORM we've been talking about. On the left, you have raw SQL. It works, but it can get super complicated, and honestly, it's notorious for creating security holes. But on the right, that's the Django way. It's clean, it's easy to read, and most importantly, it's way more secure. The ORM automatically protects you from common attacks, and you don't even have to think about it. That's a huge deal. Okay, this feature right here is an absolute game changer. It's called the Django admin. Imagine you build an online store. How do you add new products or manage customer orders? Normally, you'd have to build a whole separate website just for that. With Django, you don't. It just gives you a powerful, secure admin dashboard for free automatically. For a startup trying to launch fast, this one feature can save them weeks of work. It's incredible.
Think about every website you use. They all have a login system, right? Well, building one of those from scratch is a total nightmare. It's so easy to mess up and accidentally create a massive security risk. So Django just gives you one, a complete battle-tested authentication system built by security experts. Login, logout, password resets, user permissions, it's all just there, ready to go.
All right, listen up, because if you take one thing away for your job hunt, this is it. Django REST Framework, or DRF. Think about how the Netflix app on your phone works. It's constantly talking to a server to get the list of movies. That talking happens through something called an API. DRF is the gold standard for building those APIs with Django. Mastering this is, frankly, non-negotiable for today's job market.
Now, you're definitely going to hear people talk about another framework called Flask. And look, Flask is great. It's like a minimalist toolkit, super flexible and lightweight. But Django is what we call batteries included. It's the full workshop with the admin, the ORM, the security stuff. Everything you need for a big, serious project is already in the box. If your main goal is to get hired at an established company, Django's all-in-one structure is a much more direct path.
All right, we have covered the what and the why. Now it's time for the most important part, the how. This is your actionable plan. This is the step-by-step guide that will take you from where you are now to being a hireable Django developer. You should pause and take a screenshot of this. This is the plan. Month 1, you don't even touch Django. You just master Python. Get that foundation rock solid. Month 2, you start building basic Django apps. Then in month 3, you level up with the all-important Django REST framework. But months 4 and 5, that's the most critical part. That's when you stop just learning and you start building. And by month 6, you're not a student anymore. You are an applicant. And while you're working on those portfolio projects, use this as your checklist. This is basically the final exam. These are the things hiring managers just expect a junior developer to know on day 1. Can you build a real secure API? Do you know how to use Git like a pro? This isn't a list of nice-to-haves. This is the price of admission. And I really cannot stress this enough, so listen close. Watching tutorials will teach you concepts, but building projects will get you a job. Your GitHub profile, filled with 2 or 3 real deployed projects, that is your new resume. It's proof that you can actually build stuff. This is what will separate you from hundreds of other applicants. So that's the path. It's a challenge, for sure, but it's clear and it is absolutely achievable. Companies out there are desperate to hire people with these skills. You have the entire blueprint sitting right in front of you. So the only real question left is, are you ready to start building?